If you fish at all in North Carolina, whether you're recreational or commercial, you know, if you just listen to a handful of people, that somebody has got to be lying. So how do we know who's lying to us and who's telling the truth? So we're going to jump right in with the most outrageous and easily disproven lie that I have seen in a very long time. We're headed on over to Mr. Bill Hitchcock's Facebook page. Now, many of you may know Bill as a guy who puts out fishing reports and talks about what's going on in fisheries management. And he seems, by all accounts, to be a neutral party who is simply referencing data. Well, let's go down and take a look at one of his most recent posts. He posted this yesterday at 7 a.m. He says, the areas in red are closed to shrimp trawling. Let's take a look at this. This is effectively the entire state, right? And someone who looks at this is going to look over here and they're going to see this little checkbox and they're going to think, oh my gosh, there's just absolutely nowhere to trawl. And then AC says, AC Hines, you may see him all over Facebook too. He's going to be feeding you quite a line on a very small percentage. Only a very small percentage of water gets trawled, and the numbskulls think it all gets trawled. So to show you what this actually looks like, we can go over to this very same map. Where's the shrimp trawl? Shrimp trawl prohibited areas, right? So we check this box. What you're seeing is the same thing you were seeing on Bill Hitchcock's post. However, if we go up and uncheck coastal, joint, and inland fishing waters, we get this. Looks a little different, huh? And they're really trying to sell this to you. Well, hold on, Steve. Maybe Bill just made a mistake. You know, perhaps he did. And I thought maybe the same thing until I saw this right here. Gregory Taylor says areas in red is just showing coastal waters. Only the rivers is marked black closed to do trawling. Map's not accurate. It doesn't show the correct bay lines and closures. Bill comes back, says the map came directly from here. Gregory again responds, this was a whole day ago. I know. I just got it off there. And before anybody accuses me of leaving things out and trying to make it look smaller than it is, if you click shrimp trawl prohibited areas and trawl nets prohibited, and then uncheck the coastal and joint waters, you'll get a real map of where things are prohibited. There are some limitations around the state, but it is absolutely nothing like the way that they attempted to represent it. And this is what they do in absolutely every aspect. They pretend to speak for 90% of the people of North Carolina, unless one of those people decided to get a fishing license and try to get their own fish, and then they no longer speak for you, then they deserve it still for the rest of the 90%. So they've really created this argument in a way where they've set the tone to where they cannot be beaten. It's actually a very, very smart way to go about doing it. But you just simply have to be so careful where you get your information. All right, now that we've got that out of the way, look, Bill Hitchcock makes some great videos. His stuff about covering the history of red drum. Some other things are really good, and I would ask many of you to please consider the only thing that me and Bill agree on is that the stock issues are absolutely real. Okay, we're not going to talk any more about that right now. Right now, we're going to talk about North Carolina House Bill 442. North Carolina House Bill 442 made a surprising 180-degree turn today when the Senate added an amendment that would ban trawling inshore in the state of North Carolina, as well as to within 1/2 mile of the beach in the ocean. This is a change that is long, long overdue here in North Carolina. I really cannot stress enough just how devastating a trawl is, not only to the fish that live in the water, but to the environment itself. It will turn over and destroy oyster beds. It will turn over and destroy corals, sea fans, absolutely everything on the bottom. It just gets torn to shreds. Anyways, for those of you who care about numbers and care about the fishery in sort of a big picture kind of view, the recreational sector is being locked out of flounder. Currently, we did not have a flounder season last year, even though the commercial sector did. For anyone who doesn't know how this law applies in a big picture kind of way, all of our fish are considered a public trust resource. Now, many of the commercial fishermen that will come in and argue against this, it's about 176 people that sell shrimp, and I don't know that all of them are trawling, but those are people who sell shrimp in North Carolina. They will attempt to argue that the consumer is by far the largest group that wants this seafood to come out, but their own research from the Southern Shrimp Alliance has recently shown that consumers and restaurants are not preferring the locally caught North Carolina shrimp. Many of them possibly because they know it is being harvested in ways that are absolutely unsustainable. In fact, if we took trawling away, it is entirely likely that there would be far, far more fish coming to market after our estuary has had enough time to heal. And since I always like to show evidence in my videos, we're going to go to the DMF commercial landings numbers. So back in the 1970s, they used the fuel crisis to justify bringing in these really large trawls into the sounds. Now, it's worth noting that we had smaller trawls for quite some time, and we did not have this very dramatic decline in the fisheries until we saw these larger ones come in, and under them, it seemed to happen incredibly quickly. So if we look at this, 1972, we had about 4 million pounds of croaker landed, and you can see the big trawls come in. It goes from 4 all the way up to 21 million pounds. And then you have a collapse. And like most things, sometimes the fishermen are going to leave it alone. Sometimes they're going to have a great spawn year. Sometimes they're going to have a bad spawn year. And we kind of bounce around back and forth. But you can see very quickly the overall trend is just down and down and down, all the way to 357,000 pounds. Now, for any of you who have not eaten croaker, it is a wonderful eating fish if they are simply allowed to get large enough to eat. This is 20 million pounds, and if I am not mistaken, the total commercial harvest in North Carolina today across all species, not just fish, is only about 40 million pounds. So you see what we're losing. You see what not only the people of North Carolina, the regular fishermen of North Carolina, but also the consumers and the commercial industry are losing. So today, the Senate Committee on Agriculture, Energy, and Environment met. This is where the amendment came up, and they approved the amendment. Now, those people out there on social media that are saying it passed, no, the amendment was added in committee. This is still the normal lawmaking process. This still has to go through for a full House vote and a full actual Senate vote, and neither of these things has happened yet. For anybody who is uncertain as to just how bad this is, please feel free to go and watch one of my previous videos, The Real Trawl Numbers. And while you may hear people in these committee meetings say there is no science, what science are you basing this on? We have excellent science, much better than the science that is used to decide other things in the state of North Carolina that does give a very accurate representation of really what the trawls are doing and how they have in fact locked the North Carolina public out from many species other than just croaker, spots, and weakfish. Flounder is a massive one. They are still killing hundreds of thousands, almost 1 million fish, and just throwing them back. And this does not even count against the commercial quota in the state of North Carolina. I am not making this up. Go find out for yourself. It does not count against the quota for them to just kill them and throw them all back. A complete waste just to get some shrimp, while the regular people of North Carolina could not have even a single one. This is not a joke. Folks, please, if you do not stand up, if you do not call your representatives, I can promise you that we will lose this battle because every single commercial fisherman that is out there is going to be calling. They are going to be going to Raleigh to argue on their own behalf. All, 176 people that trawl, including family members, they have always in North Carolina been very, very good about organizing and showing up and pleading their case. And if you do not reach out, then their case will win again. It comes down to each and every single one of you. So please take the next 30 seconds, go to NC Find Your Legislators. You can just Google that, or you can go to this URL. You can type in your address there, and you can find out who your state Senate and state House representatives are, and just shoot them an email. Tell them that you support a ban on inshore trawling, the most wasteful and the most destructive form of fishing ever devised by humanity. At the very least, it needs to go into the ocean. But honestly, if you watch my Real Trawl Numbers video, you'll find out that it is just as bad in the ocean. I think this is really just them trying to find a middle ground to slowly step out this incredibly destructive method of fishing. Everybody that has reached out to me, that has told me you have sent your emails, that you've called your legislators, thank you guys so much. You are the ones that are going to make it happen. And this has happened a little bit in the past, but it is different this time. Don't get discouraged. If they happen to make enough noise, we will just continue to push. So all our efforts over the last 2 years are really starting to culminate into something that we see. And the efforts of many other people that have gone for decades before this are really starting to culminate into legislators that are far more willing to actually try and do something. If you listen to Representative Eiler today, he is really starting to get a good handle on this thing and know the points that are to be argued. Last thing, I'm going to throw in a little bit of stuff that Bill Hitchcock happened to leave out of his video that he posted today from the committee.
This time we will have Chad Thomas.
Thank you, Chairman Jackson and members of the Senate Agriculture Committee, for your time this morning. My name is Chad Thomas. I'm here on behalf of the North Carolina Marine and Estuary Foundation, a nonprofit organization working to build world-class fisheries and thriving coastal economies. North Carolina's shrimp fishery is one of the most valuable commercial fisheries in our state. Shrimp are harvested at sustainable levels and are one of the few species that have increased in abundance in recent years, as many other fishery stocks have declined. However, both the shrimp industry and state managers have faced immense pressure from the public to address the ecosystem impacts caused by the primary harvest gear, and those are shrimp trawls. Through the years, North Carolina has restricted large sections of estuarine habitat from shrimp trawling. Habitats such as seagrass beds, oyster reefs, and shell bottom are damaged by bottom trawls and may take years to recover once trawling ceases. While North Carolina has been a leader in the effort to reduce bycatch, and although the need to protect critical habitats is well documented, legislative action is necessary to ensure the enhancement of nearly 900,000 additional acres of inshore habitats that are critical to our fish and shellfish populations. After careful review of the available science, our foundation's conclusion is that the shrimp trawl legislation as proposed in House Bill 442 would bring us a huge step closer to this protection goal and would align closely with trawling regulations in neighboring South Carolina and Virginia. If our fishery stocks respond favorably to these new protections, the potential economic impact to eastern North Carolina would be tremendous. To ensure a successful transition, we would strongly encourage the addition of a program that would compensate commercial fishermen over a period of years for income lost. We offer our assistance to work with legislators and the fishing industry to find a workable solution. We appreciate the efforts of the bill sponsors, and we thank you, Chairman Jackson and the Senate Agriculture Committee, for your kind attention this morning.
Okay, thank you, Chad.
That's it. Let's keep going. Hey, call your reps. Take 30 seconds. Change the world. Make a better future for North Carolina, for everybody.